Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about this little symmetrical triangle pattern that Bitcoin finds itself in right now, with an uptrend of support right here and a downtrend of resistance right here. As you can see, Bitcoin is very, very deep into this symmetrical triangle pattern, and we're also, of course, in the much longer-term descending triangle pattern, but Bitcoin is very deep into this short-term pattern, and it looks like it's probably going to be breaking out of it in some manner coming here over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about not only this symmetrical triangle pattern, but also one that shows up on the Ethereum over US dollars chart. If you zoom out a little bit, we're going to be talking about this as well, because if you zoom out, you see that Ethereum over US dollars is likewise in a consolidation pattern. And I talk about in videos all the time, and I talk about in videos in the course as to why I believe, especially if you're a new trader and are less experienced, one of the best trades you can make is in a triangle consolidation pattern. There's a lot of money to be made in them with very low risk if you know what you're doing. So we're going to be discussing all of that and more in today's video. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. One thing I want to say right here at the outset of the video is that this video almost didn't happen because my microphone is broken. I actually have my microphone taken apart. I will post a picture in the community tab at the end of this video to show you guys what the setup looks like right now. It's kind of janky, but needless to say, I'm going to be buying a new microphone. I'm going to be buying the Shure SM7B. If you guys are interested in what that looks like, go ahead and Google that. It's a pretty cool looking microphone. Joe Rogan uses it. What I'm using right now is a Blue Yeti. It works very well, but I'm going to be upgrading. Anyway, Bitcoin is currently trading around $6,406. Like we've said for quite some time, Bitcoin has basically just been trading sideways here. We haven't seen a lot of volatility, so a lot of our technical indicators have been rather useless. You guys haven't seen me use the moving averages all that much lately. If we bring them up here, you can see that they're basically just trading sideways. They're not really acting as a level of support or resistance because Bitcoin doesn't really do anything with support or resistance right now. It's basically just trading sideways. We're going to be using some TA and some technical indicators in this video to try to get an idea as to which direction this breakout will be coming, or if it'll be coming at all, actually. We'll be discussing what that means here in just a second. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and do the crypto market recap. Not a whole lot we want to discuss here, but of course we do want to go ahead and do it. Let's give the page a refresh, and we'll see that Bitcoin across all exchanges is trading on average just a little under $6,500. I feel like I've said that exact sentence about 20 times in the last month, but that's because Bitcoin isn't doing a whole lot. As you can see, Bitcoin is up a whole 0.08% in the last 24 hours. Guys, that is some really, really nice volatility. That is almost stock market level up until about a month ago. So if you guys are volatility junkies, crypto is no longer the place to be, but I think that's going to come back in a big way in 2019. Of course, if you guys are interested in why I believe there's a bull market coming in the first half of 2019, I'll link that video in the top right. If you're watching during the premiere, that won't show up though. Anyway, Ethereum is currently trading at a very interesting level and has been for quite some time, just over $200. That's a very important level of support on Ethereum, and we'll be talking about that in just a little while. It's only up by 1/3% over the last 24 hours. One thing I want to bring to you guys' attention is daily volume. Daily volume went below $9 billion over the last 24 hours. A couple days ago, I believe it was yesterday actually, we've seen volume taper off in a very big way. We've seen it just continue to go down and down and down. As you can see, this is what I was talking about back over here on October the 25th, I think it was, and it may have happened again more recently, right there on the 26th, we saw Bitcoin, total cryptocurrency volume drop below $9 billion, guys. $9 billion used to be half of what Bitcoin did in a single day. Volume has dropped off in a very big way. And like I've talked about in many different videos, that's a big sign of an accumulation phase. And that's what it seems like we're in right now, guys. I know it seems like I'm repeating myself. And on this front, that's because I am. That's because I want to drill into you guys' head that we have entered an accumulation phase. The bear market is over, and there is a bull market coming in the next 6 months or so. Now, of course, could we be wrong about that? Of course. Of course, the market can do whatever the heck it wants, but I do believe we basically lost all of our volatility, we've lost all of our downward momentum, and we've started trading sideways, and we'll do so for the next couple of months, perhaps with some big run-ups, perhaps with some big fall-offs, but overall, it seems like the market is going to be trading sideways and be in an accumulation phase and in what I used to refer to as a stagnant market for a couple more months. Definitely a good time to be getting in on some long-term positions, which we're going to be discussing in this video. If we sort by change over the last 24 hours here, we see Dentacoin and Riven are up by over 10%. Dentacoin up by almost 14%. Definitely, it's kind of funny to see that the most volatile cryptocurrency in the altcoin space is up only 14%. Now, that's not exactly all that uncommon, but you used to see days where you would see 30 altcoins up 10%, and sometimes in more recent memory, you would see 40 or 50 altcoins in double-digit red, but we haven't seen that in a while, like I said, because a lot of the volatility is dropping off in a pretty big way. If you guys can survive survive through this low volatility and survive through these low prices, though, you're going to be very happy that you did, because like I've said in many videos, the next bull market is going to dwarf anything that we've ever seen in the history of the cryptocurrency market. So guys, you got to be strong for the next 6 months and live through this really boring market. Or if you want, you can leave the market and come back in 6 months when things start to pick up. My point is, no matter what you do, don't leave the cryptocurrency space. I think you're going to regret it later on in life if you do. But BAT is the only one that is down by almost 5%. Excuse me, BAT isn't even down by 5%, down by about 4.8%. I actually quite like the basic attention token project and how they're working with the, I forget his name. He was the creator of Firefox, and he worked on JavaScript. They have some good partnerships there, and they're working with the Brave browser. I couldn't remember the name. I do like this project, so I may be picking up some of this in a little while. I do like that. It's down by about 5% here over the last 24 hours. Anyway, I think that's all we wanted to discuss on CoinMarketCap, so let's go ahead and get back into the TA. One thing I want to talk about is that Bitcoin finds itself in 3 consolidation patterns right now, which I think is pretty funny. We have the big consolidation pattern, the long-term descending triangle pattern, which, like I discussed in yesterday's video, is starting to get invalidated because we just keep trading sideways out of it rather than breaking out of it, so I don't put a whole lot of weight on that anymore. But we have a shorter term one with the same downtrend of resistance, but instead an uptrend of support right here rather than a flat level of support at $6,000. And I'm going to say it again because I've said it. If I've said it 20 times, I'll say it 21. This is a very important trend that I think a lot of people are overlooking. The fact that Bitcoin is making consecutive higher lows, even though we're in a sideways market, that is really, really good for Bitcoin. The fact that Bitcoin has been making higher lows indicates that we may be seeing a new bull market come. And the reason I say that is because one of the components of a bull market is to see higher lows. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, we've seen lower highs as well. There's 2 sides of this. I don't want to just be completely biased, but the point is, if we're in a bear market and we're seeing bullish signs, then those are a little bit stronger than the bearish signs, because since we're in a bear market, of course you expect to see bearish signs. We're in a bear market. My point is, this is a very bullish thing. And I do think will be one of the technical contributing factors to a new bull run starting in the next several months if we manage to maintain this uptrend here. Now, whether or not we will or not is, of course, up for debate, and we don't know yet, but I hope it does. My reason for bringing this up is that we do find ourselves in a symmetrical triangle pattern, with this being the uptrend of support right here and this being the downtrend of resistance right here. However you decide to go ahead and draw that downtrend of resistance, like I've said now that it's basically been invalidated. The most important trend line in all of Bitcoin TA is probably this uptrend right here, and probably the most important level of support and resistance is $6,000 right here. Those are probably the 2 most important lines you can draw on your daily chart for Bitcoin, in my humble opinion. Anyway, speaking of my humble opinion, I do believe that my humble opinion has something to say about this little triangle pattern that we're in right here. How do you guys like that transition? I don't know where that came from. Anyway, Bitcoin finds itself in a symmetrical triangle pattern right here, and this is an interesting one because one thing that you notice if you bring volume up is that volume, even in this really low volatility market that we find ourselves in, has continued to drop off. You can kind of see this has been trending downward just a little bit here with the volume peaking during the day, but then we see it drop off at night, of course, in North America. But we've seen volume continue to drop off a little bit. Volume has been very low for the last day or so, and that's, in my opinion, because we're coming into the end of this consolidation pattern, into the end of this triangle pattern. And unlike the long-term descending triangle pattern, I think we probably are going to see a more major breakout of this. And by more major, I'm talking maybe $50 or so, because we're not looking at a very long-term triangle pattern. We're looking at a very small triangle pattern. I could easily see Bitcoin breaking up to something like that, up here around $6,500 or $6,450 or so. Or it could very well do the exact opposite and break down here and come down to this level of support, guys. One thing I want to mention is that since we're in a sideways trading market, and I think the bear market is basically over, we're kind of in this limbo land in between a bull and a bear market, and also because of a couple of technical indicators I'm about to show you, this can really go either way. Not only that, it's a symmetrical triangle pattern, which means the degree of the uptrend is about the same as the degree of the downtrend. It's about the same angle if it were to be mirrored over the horizontal. So what we see is that we don't really see a bias in either direction for for either direction for this. All we really see is that Bitcoin is in a triangle pattern and is probably going to break out of it. Like we've seen with the descending triangle pattern, it's very possible that Bitcoin just comes here and trades straight sideways out of it, but we're probably going to see some kind of, maybe not major breakout, but we're probably going to see some kind of breakout from this, and that would be a good opportunity to trade it. If it breaks bullish, then you could have a buy order right up here just above the downtrend of resistance, and then buy in and then have a nice conservative stop loss right here. And if it goes below that, if you guys are using some kind of platform that allows you to short, then you could have a short position with an entry right here and then ride the downtrend, the breakout. When you guys are trading consolidation patterns, remember that they, one, are very profitable and you can make a lot of money with them. But you want to be careful about getting into them before you see the breakout. You don't want to be buying into Bitcoin right now before the breakout. You want to be buying into Bitcoin after the breakout. You may miss 0.1% of the gain, but you're actually buying in after the breakout is confirmed. So look for a big volume candle like that, and then buy in, or then short. But you don't. But the second thing you want to remember is that you want to use very conservative stop losses, because I've seen many times consolidation patterns break bullish and then break straight bearish. We see that on Ethereum recently. You see that kind of thing happen a lot, so be very careful of that. Consolidation patterns can make you a whole lot of money, but you need to be safe with them because they can also lose you a lot of money. Remember that as a life lesson in general. No matter if you can make a lot of money somewhere, you could probably also lose a lot of money there. So be very careful with consolidation patterns, but there's a lot of money to be made in them, especially if you use stop losses in the proper manner. With that out of the way, I think we've covered everything on Bitcoin, so let's go ahead and talk about Ethereum for a little while. I haven't talked about Ethereum recently. I am a big fan of the Ethereum project. I'm a slightly bigger fan of EOS, but overall, I think Ethereum is a very good project, and I do like its technicals. I do like the market history for it. I do like the development team. I like what they're doing. I'm in general a pretty big fan of Ethereum. And the thing I was talking about earlier, where sometimes you see a market break bullish and then break bearish, shows up on this consolidation pattern right here for Ethereum. Let's move this downtrend for a second. We saw Ethereum break bullish out of this consolidation pattern and then immediately fall right back over, and we saw a massive red candlestick. You don't want to get caught on something like this, so that's why you always want to have a stop loss. Maybe in this case, you would have had a stop loss right around here somewhere to save yourself from something like this happening, and you might have been taking profits up here, but you want to be careful in something like that. Anyway, that's old TA. I want to bring that up to show you guys why it's important to have stop losses, but what we're talking about here is a bit of a longer term consolidation pattern, which Ethereum currently finds itself in. As you can see, we can draw it right here. Now, you can draw this in a couple of different ways, but the fact is we have an uptrend of support. Let's get rid of these two lines. We don't need those right now. We have an uptrend of support right here, and we have a downtrend of resistance right here. And normally when you see that happen, of course, we have a triangle pattern. This is a symmetrical triangle pattern, and one thing you want to bring in, that you want to keep in mind with this symmetrical triangle pattern, is that it is in the middle of a trend. We're in the middle of a downtrend, and this would kind of be what looks like to be a pennant. I made a video for the course, which hasn't gone live in the course yet, about pennants and wedges, and this is a classic example of a bear pennant. We see a flag right here, and then we see the pennant. So really, in most cases, you would kind of expect this to break bearish. So I'm not really too bullish on this movement right here. One thing I do like is that on the daily chart, I do believe MACD is bullish. As we can see, it is right here. It's just a little tiny bit bullish, not a whole lot of bullishness, but we do see a little bit of bullishness. I really don't think the bears are very strong right now in the entire market, not just in Ethereum. I don't really see them pushing it that low. But if I were to bet money on it, I'm not going to trade this, so I'm not actually betting money on it. But if I were to bet on it, I would bet on this breaking bearish, partially because if we zoom in here to the hourly chart, what we see, like I've talked about in many videos before, let's go back to the 4 hour, like we've talked about in many videos before, normally one way that you can tell which way a market's going to break is by whether it's trading against the level of support or resistance. And right now, Ethereum hasn't been trading around this level of resistance very much. It's been trading more and trending towards the level of support. We have seen a little bounce here, but if I were to say, I'd probably say it's a 60-40 likelihood that Ethereum here breaks bearish out of this, just because of everything, and also the fact that it is in a majority downtrend. One thing to also keep in mind here, though, is that Ethereum is above $200, and $200 is a very strong level of support for Ethereum. That in mind, Ethereum hasn't really respected that level of support. As you can see, we've broken below it right here, and right over here, we kind of came down to it a couple times, but we did break below it over here. $200 is an important level, but we've seen Ethereum break it before. It would not be unprecedented for it to do it again. So if you're going to trade this, definitely wait for the breakout and then put your trade in. If you're going to try and short Ethereum, do it after you see the breakout. If you're going to try and long Ethereum, wait until you see the breakout with some volume come in, and then you'll be far safer. You might miss out on 10% of the profit you could have made off the trade, but you'll be much safer and cover yourself from losing a lot of money if the market goes south in the way I just showed you right over here. Anyway, guys, like I said, there's not a whole lot to discuss in the market today, but I did want to show you guys these two trading opportunities. There is a lot of money to be made when trading consolidation patterns, symmetrical triangle patterns, continuation patterns, pennants, wedges, flags, etc. There's a lot of money to be made doing all of these things. There's a lot of money to be made just about anywhere, even if the market is trading sideways. There's a couple more positions I'm in that I haven't gotten into in today's video. But overall, guys, just because the market is trading sideways does not mean that there's not still a lot of money to be made. We've been spoiled by the 2017 bull market, where we saw 15% days for Bitcoin every other day. Now, just because we've seen that in the past doesn't mean we're going to see it now, of course, but the fact of the matter is, even though we're not seeing the crazy volatility that we saw at the end of 2017, there is still a lot of money to be made in this market, guys, and I do think that volatility is going to be coming back in a big way in the next year. That was a weird way to phrase that. In under the next year, that's a better way to phrase that. I do think it's going to be coming back in a big way, and I do think if you guys stick around and are investing for the long term and are using this downtime in the market to learn how to operate in bull markets, you're going to, one, thank yourself for when the next bull market does come around, and two, you're going to make a ton of money because we're going to see this kind of movement come back in a very big way, like I've been saying for a very long time. Anyway, guys, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and also if you're interested, you can definitely consider dropping a like and hitting that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video. If you guys want to learn how to do technical analysis, you can join the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy down in the description down below, or you can click the link and see what we offer before you buy it. Of course, look through the sales page and see if you like what you see. I'm going to be adding a lot more videos to that in November. I've been slacking off, not because I'm lazy, but because of partially this microphone that has been messing with me, and also partially because I've been wanting to upgrade to that new microphone so I can record more videos for the course. There's a lot of new stuff going to be coming in November, guys, so stick around. I do think November is going to be a very good month for the channel and also for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Tell me in the comment section down below which direction you think the market's going to be moving into November and December, on into holiday season, on into Christmas season, and on into the season where Bakkt is going to be launching, and we see a lot of these fundamentals continuing to build and improve. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. I do want to thank each and every single one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.